Let's talk to the president of FABAG, John Awuni, for more on this. Mr. Awuni, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard, and good morning to your viewers and listeners.
300 million cedis a month is a very big figure. How did you arrive at that as the effect of smuggling?
Thank you so much, Bernard, and that's a very great question. Apparently, the figure was arrived at looking at the number of containers that currently go through the Togo port and go through a Aflao border into Ghana. You look at the container, how much duties you have to pay, the tax element. That is what you multiply per container by the number of containers that come into the country illicitly. So that's how the figure was arrived at. So this is just in terms of duties and the taxes. If it were to go through Tema Port, that is what approximately you would have paid. Remember, the importers they know how much container, approximately how much you pay for sugar per container. You know how much you pay for sugar, for rice per container. So this is how the mathematics is done approximately.
Now, what are the top items that are smuggled? And are we talking smuggling into the country or out of the country?
First of all, we are talking about smuggling into the country. And the key commodities, let me put it in perspective that smuggling is an old phenomenon. But it tends to peak from time to time when certain dynamics change within the country. And so in the past, it used traditionally have been rice and sugar, and then some bits of cooking oil. But as demand for goods, as taxes in the country begin to go higher, import duties begin to go higher, and then demand also falls within the market frame. Then players begin to look at the fact that, well, if we can produce in Nigeria with cheaper power, if we can get goods from Nigeria and then go through Benin, through Togo, and get into the country, less the taxes, we will be more competitive than those who have produced within this country with the higher tariffs, electricity and water tariffs, with the higher taxes, and then all that. So clearly, you are looking at the commodities that have now gone beyond oil, we've gone beyond rice, sugar, to cooking oil, to textiles, to, the fast-moving commodities, FMCGs. I don't want to mention. In fact, literally, most Coca-Cola products come through that. They just undermine the legitimate businesses in the country. And you remember, Bernard, I think on one of the stations, yours also, just last week also, the Minister of Trade also was there complaining about how cement is smuggled into the country, and then I also saw stories where cooking oil also is coming. People have complained about cooking oil. It is all over the place, basically because the conditions within the country produced locally and also the taxes are not favorable. So people just want to find ways of bringing these goods. So it is widespread, including hair products, including pomade, including everything.
So is it that the cost of production in our neighboring countries is lower, for which reason it's attractive, or is it the port duties that they avoid that makes them competitive?
They are twofold. The port duties is huge. If you were to bring in goods from Togo, and even you pay some bit of money to the custom officers at the border, and then you bring them in, you would have saved almost about 40 or so % of the taxes, because if you bring in, say, like rice or oil, your average taxes would have paid would be almost like 50-54%. So if you can avoid that, paying some bit of money to the custom officers at the borders, then you would have saved, you would be miles, about 30-40% margin ahead of those who would have brought in through the Tema. So that is basically what it is. If we talk about smuggling, you are not talking about the issue people using roads that are hidden that you cannot find and all that. They use the road, the borders. They cross the borders. They go through the immigration officers, go through the custom officers. They go through all those borders and they pay them. So it is just private people that tend to make money through the smuggling people.
Okay.
Private government officials that make the money. Then it's just that like they hide and at the blind side of officials.
Let me try and understand something. Are FABAG members predominantly importers of the products they sell or manufacturers?
Oh, we are a mix. We are mixed. Like I mentioned, Coca-Cola is part of our companies, our members. They produce locally here. And so when you have French products or Nigerian products coming in, or you have the PS, the alcoholic beverages, they are members of FABAG. So we are a mixed bag. Manufacturers are there, and then the importers too are there. So it's a huge mixed bag, and the manufacturers are huge. There are many, and these are people that we for for way forward for the development of this country. We are talking about manufacturing, industrialization, and you cannot continue to talk about focus on industrialization with key commodities that are supposed to be produced in the country being undermined. You can also not talk about even increasing taxes for the common ordinary person on the street when you cannot even protect the revenue that legitimately you should have collected. And so that is for me, Bernard, I am so much appalled sometimes when you get to understand that the bit of what is happening, you have even we take pictures and we send even to government officials, and their action is very sometimes their action is like, yes, it appears we are aware about it. It is not anything new, or they are our members, they are our party people, they are kind of stuff. So they don't. Their action is like, oh well, let it happen. So
are you saying that you officially report these smugglers to government officials and they are unwilling to act? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, I wouldn't say they are unwilling to act, but I have shared. But the response will tell you that you don't see anything happening. We get pictures. It's not as if you just come out to the media and start crying, wolf, 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 wolf. No. We work in collaboration with them. And I am a nation developer. I'm an advocate for development. I'm just not attacking government policies or fighting or whatever. Not. I'm looking for the best for the youth of this country. I'm looking for the best for the industry of this country. So when we get this intelligence, you share. You take pictures of trucks that are crossing borders. You take pictures of goods that are written in French, just literally displayed in our markets. Our country, the laws of the Food and Drugs Authority and Standards Authority demands that goods that are labeled must be labeled in English. We are an English-speaking country. So under no circumstance should we find French label products in the market. How did those goods get into the market? Where are the post-market surveillance activities of the Food and Drugs Authority and then the rest? So it is not as if it is difficult to find out the smuggled products.
You mentioned rice and sugar and cooking oil and textiles.
Cooking oil, textiles.
Do we know the source of these products and which border points are known for this type of smuggling activity?
Yes, we do. They come through. Most of them come through. Some for the rice and sugar, most of them will come through Europe because the containers, instead of going through the Tema port, will be landed at the Togo port. Some of them will through Côte d'Ivoire. And sometimes, let me make this point before I continue. The dynamics, it depends on which government is in power. If the NPP is in power, then there is a Ivorian border that becomes more active because it appears to Kumasi is their stronghold. So their members will use that. If the NDC is in power, the Togo border becomes more active. And because over there too, their members are stronger. So they come through that. So
hold on. So you are saying that when NDC is in power, the Togo border appears to be the favorite route of the smugglers. When NPP is in power, the Ivorian side
Ivorian border exactly tends to be. And this is this is years that we've done. And I've got even certain media and even people who are in government authority involved in the time past, over 20 years series. So I've been on this. If you go through, I've been on this. So it is not something that it's something that we have studied. I've even sponsored certain investigators to go and bring the goods from Côte d'Ivoire, from Togo through the border and show us how the things come through. And it is very plain that officials are also collude and then in all this. But going back to the question that you asked, that what question?
Yes, no. So no, I'm saying that you're saying that there's a political cycle to this. That in NPP days, the Cote d'Ivoire border is the favorite, and the NDC times. Now let's talk about something else. So, will producing in Ghana reduce the effects of smuggling? Let me give you an example. Rice, okay? Rice farmers say nobody's buying their rice. How is it possible that somebody can bring in rice from a different country, sometimes produced in Vietnam or Thailand, and the rice will still be cheaper than the rice that is made in Ghana? I don't understand it. Are you able to explain that to me?
I can explain that, but Bernard, that's a huge topic because, me and you have been on this thing for over almost 30 years. We have been on this for over 20 years. It's not today we started discussing about the rice issue or whatever. Generally, Bernard, the production cost in Ghana is very high. So when you find that recently, I have been on the fact that efficiency before tariffs. When you look at the tariff rate for production, tariff rate for light, particularly electricity, I wouldn't go to the water. The water tariff rates are relatively lower. But when you look at electricity tariff rates and you study the industrial and commercial tariff rates for Europe, for Africa, for West Africa, in the sub-region, Ghana is at the top. So you cannot have a production system where your tariff rates, industrial and commercial tariff rates, are very high. Are very high, and then you can and electricity is the foundation cost of every production system in the country. Most of the irrigation systems use power. If you go to the Wenya, go to whatever, and they use power. So our production cost literally is very high, Bernard. And then also, if you find out that economies of mass scale production. So most of these chicken that come in from Brazil and all those places, and then the rice and whatever, they come in mass scale. These are economic people, years of specialization, and give them room for economies of mass scale production per unit cost is lower. And so they come in like that. But for my study, and remember I was the president of the Ghana Rice Interprofessional Body in 2004 up to 2008. And so I'm leading and I have gone through all over. Our production system is quite rudimentary for now. We are relying mostly on labor intensive and then also rainfall. And so our production system is quite expensive now. It's quite expensive. So, and then the quality doesn't match our own. So when you look at our systems, we need a lot of improvement for our rice, not even talk about for sugar, we are not there for our rice. And so it basically boils down to the cost of production, Bernard, and then the quality. So you have the rice coming from Vietnam, coming from Thailand, coming from India. It will be very difficult for Ghana to produce competitively to India and then Vietnam and then all that.
So finally,
it's a matter of competitive advantage that they have.
Which duty bearer's job is it to clamp down on this smuggling? Is it the immigration? Is it the customs? Who do you think has the responsibility to do this?
The GRA falls under the Ministry of Finance. I have sent pictures of trucks, goods labeled in French, to the ministry. I have done that over and over, even to other government officials. I have shared those information, but we don't see anything being done. I remember yesterday somebody was telling me that, a media person called and was trying to tell me that, let's organize stakeholders, then we see how the government GRA can help you people to combat smuggling. So I got angry. I said, GRA help us too. It's not as if helping FABAG people. It's helping the country and helping themselves because they are struggling to meet revenue targets. And so the custom officers are under the GRA Commissioner General. The border officials are under some of them are under Interior and some of them are under National Security. They have a mixed bag of officials that are there. So National Security, Minister of State, and the Minister of Finance. They need to work. If they really want to raise additional revenue or more revenue or to protect the public purse, they need to work on that. And to also protect jobs. Because the private sector is already struggling, as I indicated in our statement. We are struggling. Demand for goods have dropped by 70%. And so if the government does not rise up to protect the borders, there's more motivation to smuggle the goods into the country and sell quickly than to go through TEMA and pay the 54% total taxes and then struggle in the market. Because most of the goods that come into the country are credit-rated goods. They are on suppliers' credit. And you will literally have 1 month to turn those stocks over to sell, to pay back your suppliers. And in the face of unstable foreign currency, you will really want to send those goods as quick as possible. So whatever means you will do to ensure that those goods are turned over as quick as possible, you will do. So it is in the interest of government to rise up to protect the borders, protect the borders and protect the pests, and also ensure that the Food and Drugs Authority and then all other organizations that are mandated to do post-market surveillance to ensure sanity in our market, they will go and then do that. When you go and find out the food is labeled in French, Milo is labeled in French, Coca-Cola is labeled in French, rice is labeled in French, textiles and all that, ask them how they got the things in. And then they will then begin to explain. So these miscreants are being emboldened because of the weakness of the government over the years.
Thank you for your time. John Awuni is the president of the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana.